Welcome to the We're Better Together podcast. I'm Ian Stevenson.
And I'm Daniel Orduña. Each month, we're excited to bring you an incredible interview with someone who has experience in facilitating an environment where people work better together.
And each week, we'll share some actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to help you function better together, whether it's in your marriage, family, team, workplace, church, or community.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Now let's jump into some content and get better together.
Hey everybody, welcome to a 10-minute tune-up. We're excited to have you with us today, and we're going to continue our series on conflict today, but we're going to hit it from the angle of three things we believe are absolutely necessary for us to be better together, and that's leadership, time, and effort. So we're going to talk about conflict as it pertains to that. And just the other day, Daniel was telling me about a situation with his soccer team that absolutely captures a couple of these points. So Daniel, tell our audience a little bit about that event, and then let's learn from it.
Yeah, I think as we talk about this, leadership, effort, time, from the leadership context, we had a circumstance in our soccer team where there was conflict that was going on. And the first thing that was realized was we need someone to step up to help in the midst of this. There is chaos. There is disunity. And really, as we look at that first one, leadership, we needed a leader. We needed a coach. We needed an assistant coach. We needed a captain. We needed somebody to step up to try to bring this together, to try to address the conflict that was going on. And I think that's the first point we would love to point out there, is that oftentimes in conflict, somebody needs to step up in that leadership role to take on whatever is needed within that moment. So here we are in this moment of the team, and we have a player that it's questionable. Are they eligible or not? And there's questions around this. And we as a coaching staff have to gather together and make a decision. We make a decision. We're not going to have this player play in this game because we're uncertain. Well, that was not a popular decision amongst the team. One of our better players in this circumstance, and there's just a lot of emotion that's tied to it. This player really wants to play in this game. You can see them feeling the emotion. You can see the team, and you can see the team scrambling, trying to find the various coaches that we have and saying, we got to let him play. We got to let him play. We got to let him play. Well, now you have this sense of we're looking for a leader, as Ian said. Now we need this effort. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm okay to step in the leader, but am I now willing to actually engage within this, to put forth the effort to have this challenging conversation? And in this moment, in my case, I was looking around saying, you know what? I think it's me. I got to be the one to step up and put the effort in here. And so I gathered the whole team, the coaching staff. I said, everybody on me, everybody over here, everyone on me. And took a moment just very directly, still with care, to say, hey, here's the situation. Let's show you the bigger picture. We let this athlete play. There's a chance we jeopardize not just this game, but an entire season. Hey, we need to think about that in whatever decision we're going to make. And we as a coaching staff think that our season as a whole is more important than this one game that we're playing. And ultimately kind of gather the team around that bigger picture to say, can you unite in this moment? Can you be with us in this decision? Can you go step out on that field and play 90 minutes together without the chaos and conflict that we're experiencing right now for the sake of an entire season? And in that moment, it brought the group together. Yeah. It brought some sense of unity and some understanding around why the coaches made a decision that they made. And we were able to go play that 90 minutes in a way that would have been much more unified than the scrambling and the chaos and the frustration and the conflict that was happening before.
Sometimes the conflict can, when you have a conversation like that right before the game, it rallies the troops and they really pull together even more effectively. So that's awesome. Yeah. And, when we started this whole series on conflict, we talked about the two camps of people who like conflict, don't mind it, or willing to jump in, and others who are a little more reluctant. And I remember you said you were in the reluctant camp, Daniel, but here you were faced and you stepped into it, right? So good job.
Yeah, thanks. That's very true. But I think an encouragement to our listeners is, hey, sometimes you're going to find yourself in situations where maybe the key leaders of a circumstance are all reluctant conflict people. And so who's going to actually step forth within that? I think I've found that in my coaching role that that actually tends to be a place where it pushes me in that regard, where I'm more and more willing to kind of carry that role for this team.
Yeah, and when you stepped in, it made all the difference, right? You were able to embrace that conflict, get them through it, and then they were better for it. But sometimes, the third thing we're going to mention on our tune-up today is time is involved, right? You got to have a leader and you got to put forth the effort, but sometimes you need time as well, because conflict isn't always resolved in one conversation like we talked about last time, and it's not always resolved in the moment. I can tell a story about that. I work with a team of leaders here in our city, a team of pastors that are working together to really facilitate collaboration in our community. And when we first started building this team, we had kind of two camps there as well. We had one group of these leaders that really wanted to be more relational in the way we work together, and another group that was saying, we want to get some things done. So we had to take time to kind of talk that through over time in order. It wasn't like a massive conflict, but it was a conflict. And if we'd have leaned just to one side or the other, it would not have gone well for the team. But because we took time to process through that, to dialogue, to even put down on paper how we were going to function and how we were going to work as a team, it made all the difference and has really helped that team be better than I think it would have had we just tried to solve it in one quick decision, right? So I've experienced it too with my wife. Even in like planning a vacation, we both have two different views. We both are real strong personalities and we can push and pull for that. And we found that when we just take time and we look and explore, and then we're able to land on the same page and have a much better experience. And again, if one of us had just tried to force the issue and resolve that conflict right then and there, sometimes it takes time. Not always, but it takes time, I think, on numerous occasions to get to a better place. So we just want to encourage our listeners to, be a leader, put forth that effort when it comes to conflict, and sometimes give it time. You might be in a situation right now that requires some time. So how do you introduce that concept and give yourself time with the people you're working with to land the plane? So Danny, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just remember how those things can go together as well. I mean, even in what Ian was just sharing, in the issue of time, it also takes effort. If that conflict's not going to be cured up in one conversation, that means a second conversation has to be had. Who's going to step up in the leadership role and take the effort to make sure that the second, third, fourth, however many gatherings, meetings, conversations it takes to kind of work through that conflict, who's going to step up in those roles and put forth the effort even in those circumstances? So we just remind you of those things in the midst of this tune-up. When there's someone that's in need of an issue that's in need of leadership, be willing to process in that moment, is it you? Then think about the effort. Are you willing to put forth the effort to engage in the discomfort, possibly for some people, the discomfort for some people like Ian, they love the conflict, willing to jump into it. But are you willing to put forth the effort and then identify in those moments, is this an issue that needs more than just one conversation and needs to be processed through with time, or is it something that can be taken care of right now?
So good. As we think about this, we've done our interview already for September. And so in 2 weeks, you're going to get to hear from an NFL starting linebacker for the San Diego Chargers, Drue Tranquill. And it was amazing when we interviewed him, some of the gems that he dropped, that talk about a few of these little things we've hit on here today. So we're wrapping up this tune-up right now, but you do not want to miss our September first Monday podcast with Drue Tranquill from the San Diego Chargers. It was such a great interview, wasn't it, Daniel?
It was amazing.
Yeah, so don't miss it. And we want to thank you again for being part of We're Better Together. Remember that leaders don't just get stuff done, they do it better together. They pull people together. They do whatever they can to create unity. So we hope you'll be part of that. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.